Welcome to Charlie's Tales. I'm Charlie Glass, and I've been writing and collecting and telling these stories practically all my life. And I want to tell you today about a character who was a recurring character that kept showing up in a newspaper column I used to write. I wrote one called Good Time Charlie, and many of the stories that you will see on this channel were published in that column, and it was published by Springfield Herald at Springfield, Tennessee. And we would occasionally get letters from some readers. But one Saturday, I traveled during the week, and so one Saturday morning, I was sitting there in the office, and my phone rang, and the editor from the newspaper called me and said, "We have a letter from a reader, and I'd like you to come down and let's open it up and see what he has to say, because it's very unique." Well, when I got down there, he handed me the letter, and the way it was addressed is it had the caricature of me that's on the masthead of the column, and underneath it said Springfield Herald, Springfield, Tennessee. And it showed up. And so we opened the letter up, and the letter was from a reader who was asking advice on hog farming. Now, there is no way that I could give anybody advice on hog farming. And so we were sitting there talking about how we were going to handle this thing and how we were going to answer it. And all of a sudden, Jimmy Lee Jeter showed up. Now, Jimmy Lee is one of these recurring characters that pops up in stories that I had written, and the thing about Jimmy Lee is he was a very dominant character. I would have a story lined out. I knew exactly how it started, knew what the middle of it was going to be, I knew how it ended, until Jimmy Lee showed up. When he came in, it took a severe left turn, and so all of a sudden he walks into the office and he said, "What are you guys doing?" And I said, "Well, we got a letter from a reader who's asking advice on hog farming." Jimmy Lee said, "He's asking you for advice on hog farming?" I said, "Well, yes, he did." And he said, "Exactly what kind of experience do you have with hog farming?" I said, "Well, when I was growing up, we raised hogs," and I said I pretty well took care of the hogs all the time, right up until the time I went to college. And he said, "Well, let me ask you something. How many hogs have you raised in the last 20 years? I said, "None." He says, "What I thought. You better let me have that letter." So he grabbed the letter, and he said he got to reading it, and he said, "Well, I see right here their first major problem." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, their first major problem is that they're trying to raise one of these foreign-made hogs." He says here that he has an Australian Tamworth sow, which is a problem to begin with. And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yep, they should have had one of those good all-American brands of hogs like a Poland China." I said, "Wait a minute, Jimmy Lee, do you know where Poland is located?" He said, "Yes, I do." I said, "Do you know where China is located?" He said, "Certainly." I said, "Well, neither one of them are in the U.S." He said, "I know that." But he said, "Here's what happened. They took a Poland boar and they bred it to a China sow somewhere up around Massachusetts. And they came out with this all-American Poland China hog. And that's what he really ought to be raising." And he says, "Let me see who this guy is to start with." So he looked at the back of the letter at the end of it, and it was signed P.A. Nelson. He says, "P.A. Nelson, I know him." He said, "I sold him a mule 4 or 5 years ago. You would have thought that would have broke him from trading livestock with strangers." But he says, You know what his real name is, don't you?" And I said, "No, I really don't know the man." He said, "Well, his real name is Prince Albert. His mama named him that after her favorite pipe tobacco." He said, "Boy, she is a tough lady. You don't ever want to trade mules with her, that's for sure." He said, "Now, P.A. didn't get that trading ability from her. He must have took after his daddy, because he's an easy target." And he says, "Well, I don't know what we're going to do with him." I said, "Well, Jimmy Lee, we've got to give this guy some advice." He says, "Well, The best advice I think we can give him is get the heck out of the hog business. Well, I do hope you liked our story. And if you did, I would ask you that you would subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for us, if you would, please. In the meantime, I will talk to you on the next video.